This video is for the people who doubt themselves, who wonder if they're actually good enough to find the kind of partnership, the kind of epic love they're really craving. Hello, you gorgeous and sexy creature. Welcome to Practice Intimacy. This is the place to be to learn all about love, sex, and how to have the best relationships you possibly can. Today, what we're talking about is the question that changed the way I interact with myself. And it's the question that I now offer to people, to my clients, to even friends and people that I meet out on the street who deal with issues of inadequacy. When they feel like they're not good enough, whenever they're worried that for some reason they're either not enough to find a partner, not pretty enough, not wealthy enough, not smart enough, not young enough, whatever the thing is, not good enough to find the kind of love they want. And when asking this question, it's really just a matter of shifting the way you interact with your own internal system so that there's more spaciousness and recognition of the possibility that your mind is in part creating the reality that you're living in. So let's get started. Let's just start with the question. The question is, and this was life-changing for me. Who would you be if you could not feel inadequate? Who would you be if you could not feel inadequate? If you never once said to yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm too much, I don't know enough, I don't have a good enough job, I am not tall enough, I'm not strong enough, whatever the thing is. If you literally could not say that to yourself, who would you be? How would you show up in the world? How would you dress? How would you walk? Who would you interact with? What would those interactions look like? And when you start shifting your mind in this way, to know deeply that there is no such thing as inadequate, that does not exist inside of your nervous system, what happens is you start to show up as the person that you were meant to be. You start to show up as the most full, liberated, authentic version of yourself, whether people like it or not. And some people won't, and some people will. That's the beauty of actually being yourself. There are people that will be turned off whenever you start to fully embrace and be who you are. And there are going to be people who are drawn in. Here's the reality. Most of us, we took in some really unfortunate messaging from an early age about being liked. Most people, they have an interest in being liked by everybody. They want everyone to like them. And it feels devastating if a person does not like you. That is setting yourself up for failure, because there are 8 billion people on this planet. There are a lot of people who will not like you, and it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with how they show up in the world. It is not a personal thing if people don't like you. It is good information. If you take in information about like multiple people are saying, I don't like you for this reason, and the reason makes sense, and it turns off a lot of people, and it turns off the people you want to get close to, maybe that's something to look at. That's great data. So you could help to work on yourself and shift the way that you show up in the world. But for the most part, it's just a matter of everyone being different, everyone having preferences, everyone having certain personalities and characteristics and activity overlap that they enjoy in others, and maybe you don't match up with them. And that's a good thing, because you can't be friends with 8 billion people. You can't be partners with 8 billion people. That's impossible. What you can do is become so true to yourself that you're showing up in this world, shining the brightness of who you are, and other people who like your like core essence, that person that should have been walking through this world the whole time, but had a bunch of conditioning and expectations put on you and masks put on because of this world we live in. That essential part of you is going to draw in the right people. It's going to draw in people that you actually will be able to connect to in a truly deep way, in the kind of way that is going to give you the intimacy you're craving. But first, you have to believe in yourself. You have to begin questioning those little voices inside that doubt whether or not you're good enough. Because the reality is, we live in a world that has created hierarchical systems that have put some people in power and some people on the bottom, some people disempowered, oppressed. And depending on what you look like, depending on the color of your skin, depending on your age, depending on your wealth, depending on how pleasant you are to be around in terms of like extroversion and charisma, there are hierarchies where people have started to value others based on that. And you have taken that in, just like I've taken that in. Everyone who lives in a hierarchical, power over culture has taken in messages of some people being of more value than others. And it's bullshit. I'm just going to tell it to you straight. It is complete and total BS. Everyone, every single person on this planet has equal value. We are all unique. We are all different. Diversity is what adds to interest and excitement in this world. And just because society has said certain things are of more value, that does not mean it's true. It's not true. It might mean that it's easier to live in this capitalistic culture. That's true. And it sucks. And I hope that changes. Maybe we're getting there. More and more people are starting to look at capitalism and go, huh, that's really messed up. And they're looking at ableism and going, huh, that's really messed up. And sexism and ageism and racism, all the different things that have put people in hierarchies, people are starting to question. Thank goodness. We'll see where it goes. I have high hopes. But if you want to start undoing these hierarchical structures, start with yourself. Because the person that you were probably hardest on is you. And it's going to be helpful to also notice when you begin to put other people into hierarchies, when you start to value one person more than another. And I'm not talking about preferences, like I would much rather hang out with a kind person than a person who lived in a family with a bunch of narcissism and now they act in a way that is really not very empathic and self-centered. Like I'd much rather hang out with somebody who is kind and curious and interested in engaging versus somebody who's narcissistic. True, preference. And those people have the same value. They have the same innate worth to be treated with kindness, to be treated with compassion, to be treated with curiosity. And I get to choose, just like you get to choose, how much time and energy you give each person. But if you catch yourself saying internally some kind of judgment, some sort of like writing off of a person because they are lower on your hierarchy versus somebody else, catch that. Start to be curious about it. Notice that you're in hierarchy. Notice that you're in a judgment that puts some people above others and go, wait a minute, that's not true. And then apply that to yourself also. When you start to think that person's better than me because they have more money or a better car or a better body, or they have a partner who's way more loving than my partner, obviously they're better than I am. Stop that thinking with the question, who would I be if I could not feel inadequate? And begin to open up to that possibility. See it in your mind's eye. Who would you be if you never compared yourself and found yourself wanting? If you never looked at your body or your bank account and thought that you were less than because of those socially constructed and rather meaningless measures of worth? There are much better ways to understand your worth and value, and it has everything to do with discovering that you are a being of pure love and light, walking through this world, attempting to be in connection with others so that we can all, hopefully, heal our species and our planet. And sure, privilege helps with that. Pretty privilege, money privilege, racial privilege, all of that helps, but my God, the reason that we are in the situation that we're in as a species is because we have set people up to believe that they are either better than or worse, better than or less than, based on culturally constructed material things. rather than like true core soul values. Okay, leave me comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me what it's like as you start undoing these hierarchies inside of yourself, as you start recognizing that there is no such thing as inadequate. There isn't. There's only beautiful, unique diversity, and that is what makes this life so exciting and enjoyable. Remember to like this video, subscribe to Practice Intimacy for more content like this. Share this video with your people if you would. I love getting the word out and I appreciate your help in that, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.